during the early morning hours, feeding displaced workers here in the city of Detroit who live in the downtown area, outside. But we're paying tribute to General Gordon Baker Jr. And we have with us here today Marian Kramer, longtime comrade and partner of General Baker. Let's have another one of our young warriors.
High school, and I didn't realize I was going to march that fast today. Trying to keep up with those youth. I felt like I was on the expressway. And my daughter kept saying, Heaven over here kept saying, Mom, why are you walking so fast? I said, I'm walking fast. She said, yeah. I said, well, let's get out of the way of these young people. But I was quite honored because those of you that know Michael Joseph in the UAW, Mike is always at the right place at the right time.
That's right.
He was working with the young people over there. And they said, get on out of the way, we're going to organize, but y'all say we need to organize. And they gave us some Legacy Award. But you know, I could not, for the life of me, after going on right after the young man that is the new financial manager for schools spoke. And I turned over to one of my friends and I said, well, why would I be going on after him? And I told Michael, I said, I can say anything I want to, I will say anything I want to anyway, right? He said, that's why you're here. So they gave us the Legacy Award and I was very proud to get that. But I had to remind the young people. Some people had said we had overcome. Yeah, we overcome a few storms. We all constantly overcome. But at the same time, we got a big one this one time to overcome. Yes, they use racism. They use religion. They use men against women. And Lord have mercy, they talk about don't trust people over 30. I'm glad I'm still under 30. But they use everything that they can instead of letting us know who the real enemy is. If King was here today, and I tell you, General Baker was here, he'll say, we got to push the young people forward. And we got to stand right out there with them because they got to become the leaders in this fight. I can't run as fast as I used to, but I can stand up there with you. I can't bounce down like I used to and say, let's sit down, because I have to look around to see who's going to help me to get up. But it is your time to take the lead. suicide, as well as the people that were coming in on us. You never forget that. And when you go see movies like Selma, it goes deep into you. Deep into you. But I tell you what, this right here is much deeper. Come on. Because civil rights, like Malcolm always said, was on the books. But they were not enforcing it. And let me tell you, if Martin was here, he'll tell you what Johnson did to him. He was trying to use Johnson for his own sake. He didn't want us to be in the streets, but it is time for us not only to be in the streets, to be in the courts, and the legislature, because they are not representing our interests. They are not representing our interests. The only interest they have seen that they're going to represent other corporations. That's why Reverend Pinkney is in prison. And Reverend, when you talk about Reverend Pinkney, and I enjoyed what she said, Reverend Pinkney gives you enthusiasm. And he wants you to stay in the fight. And if you talk to General Baker, and Lord, have mercy, do we miss that man? And I not said this, Joanne, but it was a thrill to look up that night when Jen was leaving us and to see that you were right there with him. And Jen talked to all of us as long as he could. He knew all of our names. But he left the word that said, when one falls down, someone else has to step up. So who must step up today? Listen, I'm going to pay tribute to the fact that yes, we have lost a lot of people and we're going to lose more. It's hard when you lose folks. But there's some folks that's going to jail if we don't get out here and fight against this water situation. We have to go to court and we try to stand strong. And we're going to stand strong. We're going to use the UN, and we're going to say thanks to Maureen and what have you, and all the work that she has done to try to get them in, because we've been going to the UN for years, and they wouldn't come. But I'm going to say to you, each and every one of you in here are leaders. Don't sit back and wait for somebody to lead you. But understand, again, and I leave this with you, you've got to understand the fight. Yes, they use racism, but this is a class struggle. That's right. Yeah. And if you don't understand that, then we're going to get in our heads up against you, up against that, and they're going to give you a little few trinkets and stuff like that to try to pull you out and say, oh, it's those white folks over there. Oh, it's those Arabs over there. Oh, no, it's those blacks right there. You better understand who it really is. That's right. And when the 109 stand up in court, probably the end of this month, I don't know when, they keep putting it off, the city says they're coming. And once we stand up and say, water is a human right, and we will go down fighting like that, we want you there in the courts. We want people all around the courthouse. Because if I don't have no water today, that means you're not going to have no water tomorrow. Thank you. And thank you, sir. Thank you.
And right now we want to bring up Councilwoman Marian Sheffield. She has some
honor and a privilege to be here this afternoon. I bring greetings to you all on behalf of the Detroit City Council. I am also honored to be here as Honorable John Conyers here. Is he here today? He's not. I wanted to recognize the Honorable John Conyers because if it had not been for him, there may not be a Martin Luther King Day. All right? Let's give him a round of applause. He was the one who authored the legislation that introduced the Martin Luther King Day. Every year he voted on that to its passage. So I wanted to make sure we recognize him on today. It is beyond today is more than a celebration, it's a call to action. I'm encouraging our young people today, as the previous speaker mentioned, that this is our fight. I want everyone in here to know that This is a call to action as we begin to march today, that we are standing up and continuing that fight, and our young people must stand up and realize the king that is within them. Beyond the celebration, I'm proud to stand here in reference to what Dr. King stood for. He paid the ultimate and supreme sacrifice for the cost of his life. It is also a privilege to be calling for justice for our young people here today who were brutally murdered. Ayanna Jones, Trayvon Martin, and Michael Brown. In that same vein, it is important that today's theme continue the struggle for rights and democracy from Selma 1965 to Detroit 2015. Again, it's not a celebration, but a call to action. And I'm telling you all, it's time to birth the king in you. Today's honorees that I will be honoring are not being recognized because of what they witnessed or their knowledge of the struggle. They are being recognized today because they paid Dr. King's legacy the ultimate tribute by continuing the struggle in the pursuit of the dream for all. I pledge to all of you as a representative on Detroit City Council that I will continue giving the voice to the voiceless and the hope to the hopeless and power to the people. As I close, I just want you all to know that you and I can just muster an ounce of a commitment to service that Dr. King did. And if we collectively display the courage he did in the face of unimaginable consequences, then we will be well on our way in realizing the dream and making the world a better place for our children and for all. So let today not serve as a hallmark occasion, but a clarion call for us to do our part as we continue to struggle for jobs, peace, and justice. If Mr. Calvin can come up, I'm going to recognize 3 freedom fighters right here in the city of Detroit. If we can have Ms. Martha Noonan, please come forward. Dr. Silas Noonan, and Dr. Edith Brunson. Once again, on behalf of the Detroit City Council, this is a Spirit of Detroit Award, and it is presented herewith as an expression of gratitude and esteem of the citizens of Detroit, in recognition of exceptional achievement, outstanding leadership, and dedication to improving the quality of life, and is signed by all 9 members of the Detroit City Council.
Well, I'm accepting this award, these awards, actually, on behalf of myself and my ex-husband, Dr. Silas Norman, who many of you know, has not been well for the past month, and so cannot be here today. I just want to say 2 things. I love Detroit. Born somewhere else, and I've been away really for 20 years. I raised my children here. All 3 of them have come back to Michigan, and once you've lived in Detroit, you just can't help but love Detroit.
That's right.
And I'm trying to work my way back. I also haven't seen the movie Selma recently. I also want to say that, well, this is my 2nd King Day in Detroit, and I love to come here because the celebration, people in Detroit understand what King Day is about. It's not about painting and fixing up, it's not about charity, but it's about changing the world that we live in to make it a better place. And several years ago, I worked on a book called Hands on the Freedom Plow. And it was 52 women who had been active in the civil rights movement. And the thing I want to say about those women, and also he has spent his life, all these women, even though the civil rights movement was the highlight of their lives, as it was mine, they continue to struggle and to be active. Dr. Norman began his medical career here serving the homeless, and he's remained active on the homeless committee. Part of his working career went on to serve prisoners at Jackson State Prison and Wayne County Jail. And also as Dean of Admissions at the medical school, he has worked to increase the number of black students and black doctors coming out of Wayne State University. And I have to say, going to visit him at Harper Hospital, it's almost a crying shame how few black medical nurses and doctors there are in the city of Detroit. So we have lots of work to do. I just want to finish by saying, and when I look out and see all the gray hair in the audience, as I said, most of the people who are active in the movement, in the civil rights movement, I've got to stop and say one thing, and I'm finished. When you see the movie Selma, please remember that there were so many people like myself who were in Selma before the march, who were in Selma during the march, and who were in Selma after the march. And I want to recognize one of the people who's here today, who actually was there were 3 students in Selma, Alabama, who started a movement there in 1962 and continued to be active in 1962, 1963, 1964, 1965, and 1966. And it's because of the actions of the students in Selma that Dr. King was even able to consider activity in Selma, Alabama. And that's Mr. Terry Shaw, who was a student at Hudson High in 1962. I just want to conclude with the words from the song that we titled the book, Hands on the Freedom Plow. Being in the civil rights movement was a highlight of my life, and the song says, I'm so glad I was a soldier. I'm a soldier. I have my hands on the freedom plow. One day, I'll get old and can't fight anymore, but I'll stand here and I'll fight on anyhow.